Hello and good afternoon. I'm Rachel Patton, Executive Director of Preserve Arkansas. Arkansas's nonprofit advocate for the preservation of historic places. Welcome to Women in Preservation. Thank you to our series sponsor, DMX Architecture of Fayetteville, for their generous support of Women in Preservation. Many of you are already members of Preserve Arkansas, and we thank you. If you're not already a member, please join us to support our educational programming, advocacy, and technical assistance all throughout the year. We have several upcoming educational programs this fall. The most important one is our statewide Arkansas Preservation Conference that will be held in Hot Springs from October 21st through the 23rd. And this registration is open until September 15th. So please go ahead and register if you intend on coming to the conference this year. We haven't had one in a long time, so I'm really looking forward to this. And whether you've been doing preservation for a long time or this is new to you, it'll be an excellent opportunity to network and learn. Then we're going back to Hot Springs a couple weeks later for the 2026 Preservation Ramble, which is themed after David Hill's book, The Vapors. And this will include a copy of The Vapors. You'll get a copy of the book mailed to you. David Hill will be there to do a book talk, and then we'll see sites around the city associated with Hot Springs gambling history. And I think we have 5 tickets left for the Ramble. So if you want to go, there's still a chance to get a ticket. And we're accepting nominations for the Arkansas Preservation Awards in 13 different categories until the end of August. And those are all available on our website at preservearkansas.org. Join us next month on September the 8th for Women in Preservation with Sara DeVan, who's a Senior Associate and Architectural Conservator at WER Architects in Little Rock. And now it's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Sara Jondahl. Sara serves as the Director of Sustainability and Resilience and as the Historic Preservation Officer for the City of Russellville. She oversees the city's historic preservation program, floodplain management, long-range planning initiatives, and resilience efforts while leading projects that strengthen community character through preservation, planning, and strategic investment. As the city's historic preservation officer, Sara has led the development of updated historic district design guidelines, coordinated preservation planning efforts, pursued grant funding for historic resources, and worked with property owners, commissioners, and state partners to preserve Russellville's architectural heritage. She has also managed National Register initiatives, historic resource surveys, and preservation education programs while integrating historic preservation into broader downtown revitalization and economic development efforts. Sara earned a Bachelor of Science in Environmental Science with a minor in Environmental Education from Western Washington University. She is a certified planner through the American Institute of Certified Planners and a certified floodplain manager. With more than 15 years of municipal planning experience, she is passionate about helping communities preserve their history while creating vibrant, economically resilient places for future generations. What an ideal speaker for women in preservation. Welcome, Sara.
Thank you so much. It is a pleasure to be here and to share with you all today. I am just starting my presentation. So, like Rachel said, I do a lot.
Looks good.
Thank you. I do a lot here in the community, and I'm just so blessed to be just one of the people in preservation. Definitely don't necessarily feel worthy of being named a woman in preservation, but I am someone doing preservation work in our community. I did not arrive at preservation that traditional route. It's definitely been a winding road that led me here. As Rachel pointed out, I got a degree in environmental science, which led me to floodplain management and eventually to planning. I am both a certified manager and a certified planner. So creating a future we all love and cherish is very important to me. Preservation matters. Preservation isn't just about old buildings. It's about the memories you tie to the place. It's about the things that make you feel like home. I think you all would agree with that. But what made me feel like home? We moved a lot. There's a lot of images on this slide, and I just wanted to tell you a little bit about who I am as we go into preservation and why preservation matters. So I'm not sure how many times I moved by the time I was age 2, but this time in my life, I've actually moved somewhat between 20 and 30 different times. The one thing that really remained constant in my life was my family. It was my family, and it was the places that made it feel like home. I was born in Fort Nelson, British Columbia, Canada. Canadian, kind of. My parents are American citizens. So I went through the process to be a naturalized American citizen, but I spent several years in Canada. That picture of Fort Nelson, British Columbia, it really hasn't changed too much since then, but that's from the 1970s, and it's a very small rural town. It's about 2 hours south of the Yukon Territory. It's on the Alaska Highway, so it's really far north. In the summertime, it defrosts for about the top 2 feet. So you get this permafrost. Don't step off of the trail or the road, you will sink. You will lose your shoes. I don't remember too much about that. It's just the stories that I was told. From there, we moved to Terrace, British Columbia. We lived there for a few years. Another great small community, rural. My dad stayed there after my parents got divorced, and we would go spend summertime with him. We would ride our bikes all over town. So many fun memories in that area. But after they got divorced, my sister and I moved with my mom from Canada to Camino Island. We lived in a little cabin that was part of the family property there, but everything was actually in Stanwood, Washington. It was the school, it was the shopping, there was a great bowling alley, but it was this cute little Scandinavian community. We still have family there, so I still get to visit, and the memories just kind of flood back in when I'm there. From there, we moved to Linwood, not a small community, not a cute little town. It was a suburb of Seattle. There was a park. I don't really remember a whole lot about my time in Linwood, except I get to say I really did have one of those stories walking uphill both ways to and from school. It was on the other side of the hill, so yes, up and down. From there, we moved to Zelienople, Pennsylvania. That was formative time of my life, both junior high and high school. I was in the color guard. We marched in parades, and we marched on Main Street, Zelienople, so many times. I think there were 4 parades a year, over 4 years, a lot of times marching down that main street and spending a lot of time in that small rural community with those older buildings really just kind of gave me that sense of place. And that we would hang out downtown. I have so many memories tied to that place. And I think that's what really helped me realize that historic preservation isn't just about the past, it's about the future that we're creating, because we're creating a future where memories are made. We're creating a future where families go and hang out together, where friends spend time together. This image shows places I've been, but it shows pictures of me with my family, with my friends, with the 2 biggest loves of my life, my children. They're both juniors right now. One's at university and the other's in high school. It also gave me a love for traveling. We've been in Toronto. I've been to Washington with my family. North Carolina with friends, at the beach with my kids, and I met up with my best friend from high school. But when I'm in town, where do I spend my time? Where do I go? Well, just like that sign says, meet me downtown. It's more than saving buildings. It's so much more than just the building. It's the place. It's where memories are made. And so, like Rachel said, I have a lot of jobs. I thought I would go through and just kind of share what preservation in Russellville kind of means in this office. Um, Historic preservation is housed in the Office of Sustainability and Resilience. I'm responsible for energy efficiency, building energy efficiency, try to reduce the utility bills. We're looking at streetlight conversion projects from halogen old bulbs to LED. Again, reducing that utility bill. Sports park LED conversions, that was complete. It was partially about reducing the energy bill, but it was also about economic development and bringing people into the community, because now our sports parks have the same type of lighting as professional ballparks, and that's going to create other teams that want to play in Russellville. And I would be remiss if I did not talk about recycling. We just opened our recycling location, and it's all about education. And not all plastics are created equal. Throughout the state of Arkansas, mostly we can just recycle plastics number 1 and 2. Those are the bottles. They have a bigger bottom than the top. We're looking at water bottles, Coke bottles, laundry bottles, soap bottles, shampoo bottles, any type of bottle that can typically be recycled anywhere in Arkansas. Containers, bubble wrap, plastic cups, those are not things that we can take at our recycle facility. So spending a lot of time talking about education and what we can and cannot do with recycling. I also get to think about safety with floodplain management. Safety is so important. I want to know that if someone is putting their head in a bed, that they're not going to have to worry about the waters rising in the middle of the night and what to do with that. And so that's really the biggest thing with floodplain management, is making sure that everyone in the community is safe from flooding where practical, where possible. So that's a big part of, or a little part of what I do there. And then I'm also responsible for ADA consultation and compliance. I'm really excited that we are almost done with our downtown project. And that had a lot of ADA compliance. We were mandated by the state to put our water and our sewer lines, to fix those up. And we thought, well, if we're going to tear up the whole entire downtown, we might as well do it right. So we put our utility power poles underground. We updated the streetscape and just made it look really nice. And the biggest thing from this, there are only 2 businesses that are no longer, that are ADA accessible. So all of the businesses downtown, all of our buildings, except for those 2 businesses, are 0 entry. So every business downtown, except for those 2, are ADA accessible. The one has another entrance through another business. And then the one that was really hard, there are 4 steps up. You cannot make a sidewalk go that high and still keep it looking like a historic district. And so really proud that our community focuses on making sure that everything is accessible. Another thing that I'm working on, neighborhood support and resources. This is more of a wish list that I haven't really gotten to yet, but if a storm hits, who do you call? If you're a citizen, if you call the city, we're dealing with those bigger picture things, and unfortunately we don't get to care that there's a tree on your house. Yes, we want to come help you, but we have to take care of other things, and making sure that people know who they can call during a storm. because it might be your neighbor next door that has a chainsaw that can help get that tree off your house. I'm also tasked with some long range planning. We're working on a safe streets for all, just to set us up to help get grant funding for some of the projects that we have coming up, and brownfield real redevelopment. We have some areas even in our historic downtown that could have brownfield redevelopment, and so I'm excited about that. That's a lot, right? I've got a lot of different hats that I'm wearing, but then there's historic preservation, and historic preservation is just something I love. Working on preservation plans, training, commission support, guidelines updates, ordinance updates, surveys, events. There's so many things, but really why preservation belongs in the Sustainability and Resilience Office is because historic preservation is sustainability. It's resilience. It's economic development when old buildings are repurposed for new businesses. It's revitalization. It's where our main street districts thrive. And tourism happens when we preserve these places. It's community pride. And that is why preservation does belong in the Sustainability Office. And I'm so fortunate and lucky to be able to do historic preservation here in Russellville. And it's really why I titled this More Than Saving Buildings, Leading Preservation in Your Community. I'm going to take a breath there. I think I talk really fast sometimes. So sorry about that. I want to tell you first about Russellville. Russellville has approximately 30,000 residents. It swells to over 90,000 during the daytime, but our downtown is vibrant. It's due to the dedicated work of our Main Street, of our city, and our Historic Commission. It's a team of people that makes our downtown vibrant. Our commission was created in 2008. It consists of 9 commissioners and each appointed for 3 years. We don't have term limits per se, so they can keep serving, but they have to be reappointed. It kind of led to that perception that once you're on the commission, you stay there. And so we've been really working hard over the past 7 years while I've been here to educate the community on what a commissioner does. Reaching out and talking to people about applying for the commission, hosting informational sessions to come and learn about the Historic Commission. And at this time, we still have 2 original commissioners, but we've had 5 new historic district commissioners appointed since 2019. And so our commission is newer in the sense. But one of our commissioners appointed since 2019 was the Main Street director for over 20 years in town. So she has been doing historic preservation for a very long time. We are seeing a trend in these education outreach opportunities where we've educated about the Historic District Commission and what they do, and that has really brought a heightened understanding about preservation and why it's so important. As you can see at the bottom of this slide, there's a lot of requirements that we're looking at for people to serve on the commission, which could be potentially limiting. However, because of that educational outreach, we really haven't had a lack of applicants interested in serving in the past several years. So that's been really, really, really good for our community. We do have 2 National Register districts. In 2000, early 2000s, we had our commercial downtown district nominated and accepted as a National Register district. That's the downtown commercial district. And then in the past 5 years, Old Town neighborhood has been designated as a National Register district. At this time, I'm really excited to say that the state office is recommending to the National Park Service a third district be established on Arkansas Tech University campus. And there's several old buildings there, and I'm really excited about having that district on the Arkansas Tech campus. As I think about historic preservation in our community and what we are working on, it's really educating the community and helping the commission be of value, reducing the perception that our historic commission isn't helpful, because they are. We have very dedicated researcher who will not stop until she finds something that can assist on the project or help answer the questions. And all the other commissioners are just as dedicated to helping. Why else are they serving on the commission, right? And then reducing the perception that they want to say no, because they don't. We have commissioners that will meet applicants on site, that they'll talk through challenges, they'll work towards a solution that meets not only historic preservation guidelines, but it also meets project goals. It's this commission, and they work so hard, and I just get to come alongside and to help them reach our community. So here are some of the fun things that we have been working on, especially with outreach and education opportunities. In the past couple of years, we've had a couple trainings. The first one we held a commercial storefront training in partnership with the National Alliance of Preservation Commissioners. They really got to talk about what it takes to restore a commercial storefront, about some alternate materials that could potentially be used, and looking at kind of the rhythm and flow of the downtown, so that as they start taking on some of these restoration renovation projects in our community, they know what they're looking at or looking for. It was a really good opportunity for architects and contractors to come together. And at the end of that morning, we took a walk through the district, and we really got to point out what were good features and maybe some alternatives to what could be considered better for next time. There were so many great conversations between the contractors, the architects, and our commissioners, because we did have several commissioners attend that training as well. And really, that's where historic preservation works. Creating those relationships so people feel comfortable reaching out when their questions arise. And then this spring, we invited Molly Walden and Ian Montgomery up from Arkansas Historic Preservation Program, and they helped us just train a little bit on why preservation matters. And we did a windows workshop to look at how to work on and restore a wooden window. We were really trying to market to homeowners, but we had contractors and, again, architects and commissioners and property owners come and attend that training. It was really a good training. They got to kind of get up close, get their hands on the wooden window, see how it works. And those are fun, providing those opportunities in the community. What I loved, honestly, is that it taught people that some parts of preservation can be really simple. It's just learning how to do that. And I was really appreciative that Arkansas Historic Preservation Program partnered with us to bring that to Russellville. But what I've learned from these two sessions is that people in our community want these seminars. They want practical opportunities to learn about historic preservation here locally. They don't want to drive to Little Rock. They don't want to drive to Clarksville. They don't even really want to drive to Atkins, and that's 15 minutes away. So I would encourage you, if you're doing historic preservation in your community, to look at ways of bringing training to your town. But a trick to that, also provide lunch. Give them food. Because even if they're not extremely interested in the topic that you're talking about, wooden windows, commercial storefronts, they may still attend because you're offering to give them food. Sometimes bribery works. And we always go with one of our favorite restaurants in our historic downtown because it's simple, easy, and everyone loves it. Uh, so after community seminars, there's a lot of work too. Educating the public is wonderful, but historic preservation, in my opinion, needs those boots on the ground. What are we actually doing? And so that's where we've conducted surveys officially and unofficially, as I'll get to a little bit later. So the top image on the left here is from when we were considering our first National Register district. Surveys are a part of the process. You survey a district, you're looking at listing on the National Register, and you have lots of community meetings and more community meetings. Oh, and don't forget to ask Arkansas Historic Preservation Program to come down and talk to residents, answer questions, help them understand what the difference between a National Register district is and a local ordinance district. During this whole process of surveying the neighborhood and looking at listing the National Old Town neighborhood as a National Register district, the city was not the driving force. We just got to come alongside Old Town neighborhood. There were some residents within that neighborhood that really understood the investment that having a National Register designation brings to their neighborhood. And so there's a definite process with that, but we got to come alongside and just participate in that process. We were fortunate to get grants to help us with survey work. And you might notice we were wearing masks. So this is all happening during COVID. So we're not only trying to navigate the process, we're trying to navigate COVID and distancing and then not stepping out in front of the neighbors. Because we don't want to list them if they didn't want to be listed. We had meetings. We met outside though. We even met outside, as you can see in this picture, with the consultant as they went through the neighborhood. And the commission got to hear and see some of the process that the consultant was going through as they surveyed each of the homes. And the other thing with National Register nominations is being flexible. The neighborhood had some ideas of these are the boundaries of Old Town neighborhood. But in some instances, what we found is that, well, yeah, there's some historic homes there, like this one house at the top right. But the rest of the houses on that block had been demolished. And so there wasn't enough fabric to include that block in the district. And so on one side of the street is the National Register at the end of the process, and the other side is not. We just recognizing that we don't have that privilege of saying it has to be here, because you need to have over 50% of the neighborhood in homes within the district being historic in order to get that listed. And so just having the flexibility to let the boundaries kind of fall as they need to. And so as we go through, we're navigating all of these conversations, what we've listed in the district, making sure everyone understands. And again, the city wasn't coming in and saying, this is what you can or can't do. We are coming beside, we're listening to them, and really reiterating that National Register designation is an honorific designation. There's no ordinances, we're not, there's no oversight at the city level. And so we got to just enjoy that process even through COVID. Those meetings, sitting at one of our commissioners' house in the yard with the community, really was fun. We even pulled our police department into those conversations. Yes, they happened. It was like 100 degrees. I think that for that meeting, We're all sitting out in the shade, under the carport or under the trees. And so the conversations that we had weren't just only about historic preservation. They were trying to listen to the concerns that the neighbors had. Um, and it was so good because we aren't just doing this process, we're really trying to bring those people together. And those relationships are what made the National Register listing successful, in my opinion, is because the community, they voted to list as a National Register district. It wasn't the city pushing this process at all. We were just there to support. Um, and then the middle picture on this slide is our class that we did. I'll talk a little bit more about that. But taking those trips is what I really am including this image about. In historic preservation, I think a lot of the times we can get locked into what we think historic preservation needs to look like in our community. But taking the trips and looking at what other historic districts are doing helps you understand and realize what's possible in your community. Seeing the mixed uses. Uh, we really didn't know what we didn't know in Russellville. And so looking at and exploring those other districts was super beneficial to hear about what they've done, talk with those communities, listen to the historic preservationists in Little Rock and Fort Smith in Eureka Springs, because there's stories of what is successful and then there's stories of what's not successful. And each community is a little bit different, but it's important to hear those stories and bring back what you think is going to work in your community, because I really think that is what helps you as a preservationist make preservation successful in your community. Oh, I'm moved fast. And then we have education, events, and materials. I've got so many brochures. This one is our Old Town neighborhood. We have one on the commercial downtown district. We have walking tour brochures. Uh, we have a whole lot of brochures, and we update those as necessary. Treating those more as living documents instead of a static document, I think, is beneficial, because a lot of the times it's educating and re-educating your community. Owners change, tenants change, and they need to know what is so special about their historic district. And so education, materials, and events. So that's where like the bulk of the work is educating, is creating the materials, it's helping our community. But then there's a lot of fun things that we can do as preservationists in our community to really help educate others about preservation. And that's where Preservation Month activities, it's such a fun month. It's a lot of work. It's such a fun month. So we had this idea several years ago. Victoria Marchant was a planner in my office when I worked in planning, and she came up with the idea of having an ice cream social. And we kicked that off several years ago. A lot of the times, it was the first couple of years, it was just an ice cream social. It was really well attended. But then we realized after the second year that we needed to make some adjustments and try to do something a little bit more engaging. And that's when we really started to grow our ice cream social. Uh, we've been doing this for 4 or 5 years now. And last year we added tours of buildings. So we toured City Hall, the courthouse. We've always partnered with Pots Inn. And we've had someone from our historical association always kind of pulled into this. And the Lattimore Tourist Home Group has always been super helpful with serving ice cream at our ice cream social. So it's been fun. But as we've expanded, as we've grown, we've switched things up. So this year we had walking tours. We did a downtown walking tour. We did a tour of the El Paso district, which is just north of town. And it's kind of fun as you're doing these to share tidbits. So the first year when we were sharing about City Hall, there is a secret area where there used to be a ladder up to an office on the second floor. It's not there anymore, but you could sneak up to the second floor of City Hall. You couldn't leave without anyone knowing, but you could get upstairs without anyone knowing. Um, I don't know why they did that, but it was something. So just sharing some of these fun tidbits. The county judge had shared that there's this little area under the courthouse that actually goes out underneath Main Street, and sharing that with people in the community who attended these tours, and they were really good. Our walking tours this year, the El Paso district, we got to share kind of more like normal people from the early 19th century. These are probably not your upper class citizens. These are your working class citizens. They are working in the factories, and the people on this tour really appreciated that we weren't trying to showcase all of the really well-to-do upscale homes, but that we were talking about people like you and me as we go through history and share. And I thought that was really fun and important because their stories are important too. Their stories are what helped build Russellville. And so making sure that we share those stories and communicate um, what everyone in the community did. It's not just your founder, it's not just the important person, it's all of the stories that make up your community. And speaking of all of the stories, going back to the ice cream social, we have been so privileged the past couple of years to watch this young man, Ian Warnick, do a lot of research into um, a location in the community for the Green Book. There was a Green Book home that had been demolished during urban renewal, and due to street name changes and just some different ownership changes, it's been several years that we kind of talked about and tried to figure out where this house was, and he dug through property records and street maps and deeds to locate the location of this home. And so at the ice cream social, we partnered with the historical association to honor this man for his research that he did. And then after the ice cream social, we went out and dedicated a plaque for the historic property that he found. So those were a lot of the fun things that we get to do during Preservation Month. It, like I said, it's a lot, but it's a lot of fun, and it's really a great way to connect with your community. You can see there were so many different people that came out this year at our ice cream social. Arkansas Historic Preservation Program and Preserve Arkansas tabled at our event. Potts in Historical Association and the Lattimore Group is always there serving ice cream. It was such a fun time. And each year, our mayor or the judge, they kind of tag team who gives the proclamation to kick off Preservation Month. So that's always a lot of fun. And then one thing we've done in the past, I guess it's been 2 years since we did this class. Maybe. We've done a interdisciplinary project-based learning class. We didn't know what we didn't know in the community, and this was a really good class from the classroom to the community, really ignited the passion in the next generation for historic preservation. We know that there's areas in town that are somewhat historic, but do they have enough fabric? And so reached out to Dr. Schluterman. She tagged Dr. Hagee at Arkansas Tech, and jointly we did this class to really engage students in potentially surveying areas of our community. We had presenters in class from our commission. Betsy McGuire talked to them about the importance of historic preservation. Greg Boborick talked to the class about architecture and different types of architecture that they might see. We took the class down to Little Rock on the coldest day of the year and toured. We met up with Preserve Arkansas, the Quapaw Association, the Little Rock Office of Historic Preservation, and we toured a district in Little Rock to see what an active historic district might look like, mixed uses. And then Arkansas Historic Preservation Program met us at the end. Being able to answer questions and make those connections for students was really a lot of fun. And then we come back to town, kids start getting uh, into the work of determining ages of properties for a couple districts in town. We went over to the Lattimore Tourist Home so that they could see what an active preservation project looked like. And then they presented their findings to the Historic District Commission. One thing that was really fun and really proud of them for doing is this class not only shared about their findings and of where potential districts could be and talked about some of the homes that we have in our community, they also shared stories for homes that weren't there anymore. Again, talking about those stories and sharing those important moments in our community that we didn't necessarily know. And so that was just a really exciting time. It was a really good um, to see what these students were able to pull together and really kind of laid the foundation for where we're moving forward with preservation in Russellville. Currently working on a preservation plan to figure out what priorities we want to work on as we move forward so that if we determine, hey, we really do want to survey this area, is that in line with our preservation plan? And then being able to ask for funding because it's in line with our preservation plan and we know that there is potentially enough fabric in this area for a historic district. And then I cannot pass up the opportunity to talk about the Lattimore Tourist Home, a very dilapidated structure in our community back in 2019. It had been sitting abandoned for years. It was owned by the church that owned the property there, but they didn't want to renovate it, and it wasn't part of their master plan. Our previous mayor knew that it was such an important piece of our history. Um, the Lattimore Tourist Home is the only place that's still standing where people of color could stay during the Green Book era between Little Rock and Fort Smith. It was operated by Eugene and Cora Lattimore, and they welcomed everyone into their home. We've heard so many stories of people who've stayed there or have had memories of spending time there, but it's really been a labor of love. So in 2019, we kicked off the project. The beginning of 2020, we're trying to form this nonprofit and create a board for the Friends of the Lattimore Tourist Home. Apparently, we thought COVID didn't really mean too much because we have these big initiatives that we were working on, but we were able to successfully create this board. And that's when the work began, the fundraising and figuring out how to save the Lattimore Tourist Home. The Lattimore Tourist Home, the church did not want to keep it on their property. Again, it wasn't part of their master plan. So we worked with the community to raise funds. We worked with Entergy, the utility companies, a moving company, and our own public works crews to be able to move this. We also worked with Ralph at Arkansas Historic Preservation Program to ensure that where we were proposing to move the Lattimore Tourist Home, it would be able to retain its National Register designation because that was extremely important to us. And the final place of the Lattimore Tourist Home was facing, or is facing, James School Park. And James School Park was historically or James School was historically a Black school in our community that we've lost. And so by moving the Lattimore Tourist Home to this location facing that park where James School once stood, it's really kind of become a anchor in that area of town and helped kind of just build up community pride in that community there. Moving day was so emotional. It was so amazing, absolute phenomenal to watch this home be lifted up and to be moved down the street and to see all of the crews that came together, lifting lines up, laying lines down, cutting limbs to make sure it could fit down the street. Neighbors had already been notified that the home was moving. They were going to be without power while we moved the home. Um, and it was so awesome to watch this building move. And we're still in the process of restoring it. It is on its final location. It is facing James School Park. We had to gut it. We had to have all the windows restored. The top picture on the left is what it looked like before any work had been done, before we moved it. The picture on the lower left shows the guys taking the jewelry off of the home so that we could reuse it and or use it as a template to cut new jewelry for the parts that we were missing. Uh, the windows all had to be completely rebuilt. In this picture, the two guys standing in the hallway are the contractor and then Kendall Hearn. And Kendall Hearn rebuilt all of our windows, and he received an award from Preserve Arkansas for his workmanship. He did such a great job. It's such a blessing to have him here in our community. Um, the top right is a picture of the building once it was on its permanent location. The bottom right is one of the conversations that we've had in the building of what we plan to do. But as you can see, it's completely gutted. And the center picture at the top is what it looks like today. Yes, I went and took a picture this morning so I could showcase what the building looks like right now. The doors are in place. All of the front windows are there. Uh, we still have many years to go and there's lots more fundraising to do, but this is just such a fun project that came together because of community. Uh, the Lattimore Tourist Home, actually, the community all got together because they didn't want a cell tower there. Verizon was trying to put a cell tower there, and they sat in the park looking at that uh, property on a public meeting during COVID. And that public meeting where they were successful in shutting down the cell tower at that location really formed a group who then came together to repair and restore this Lattimore Tourist Home. And so it's been such a fun project and such a fun time as we've gone through this. But it's all about those relationships, and leading preservation in your community is about educating. It's about creating those relationships and having people that you can call on. And so with that, thank you so very much for having me today.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I love hearing about the Lattimore Tourist Home. I could listen to that story over and over again. So thank you for talking about that. Y'all have plenty of time to put questions in the chat or in the Q&A if you want to. Kylie Cole from Fayetteville asked, what does your office's relationship look like with Arkansas Tech University? And do you find they're generally supportive of preservation on campus? That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a great question, Kylie. Um, Honestly, I have a really good friendship with Dr. Schluterman. Um, she has been such a champion for community engagement. So she has at Arkansas Tech University has a partnership called the Center for Community Engagement, and they're really trying to reach out into the community and do more internships, do more interdisciplinary project-based learning courses. Um, And so that's been really good, but building that relationship, finding someone that you can really partner with at the university is super beneficial to having these classes. They are, I will say, they are generally supportive of preservation on campus. I'm not entirely sure who is heading up the historic district on campus, but it's not an initiative that the city has been involved in. We're just getting notified of that through the fact that we're a CLG community, that we have a Historic Preservation Commission that has the opportunity to comment. So we're really excited that they're moving forward, and they are, it seems like they, as soon as a building hits 50 years, they're applying for historic status. And so they, for some reason, have a really good mind on historic preservation, but it's a really building those relationships with someone to do these types of classes. It's been a lot of fun. That was my first class. I've had a recycling education class. This semester, I've got a climate action plan class. And then again this spring, I will have another survey, another class to do some historic surveys. So I'm looking forward to just continue building those relationships and having fun with those classes, because it gives you something different to do during the day. And kids, these students are producing the best material, and they're asking questions that help kind of take you outside of the box and give you a different perspective as you're going through historic preservation activities, for sure.
That's awesome. I'm glad that you're going to continue with those partnerships. That's great.
Yeah, they're
And
a lot of
Arkansas
fun.
Tech, hopefully they've wised up to the fact they can get a lot more money for building rehabilitation through ANCRC if they have more National Register listed buildings. So that's really good too.
Well, they have a
Um,
full district, hopefully once the National Park Service um, approves it.
yeah, yeah, that's great. Let's see. You got lots of nice comments that I'll send to you after the fact. So my question was, what's the next big thing? But you kind of alluded to, is it the preservation plan? Is that the next big thing?
Yes, so we're actually right now working on a preservation plan, and our consultant will be here for our September art walk. And I'm really excited. So we're setting up meetings to talk with different members of the community, setting up a time for neighborhoods to meet with the consultant. But then they are actually going to have a pop-up activity at our art walk to do a memory quilt of
Oh, cool.
places that people have memories within the community. So I'm really excited to see what that looks like in the community. I've only been here for 16 years, so I don't know all of the history, and learning more and more about the tidbits that are important to everyone else and the memories that they think are significant to them, I think is going to be so exciting to kind of piece that all together. But yeah, so we'll have a preservation plan, and then that will help build out, but we still don't know how much historic fabric we have in the community. There's still so many opportunities to learn more. So I do anticipate doing some more surveys down the road and keep doing these classes, because working with students, it's just phenomenal. And as a community, it's really great to get all of that work with little budget.
Yeah. Lots of free labor for research and survey. Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much again. And I don't see any other questions in the chat or Q&A, but I'll make sure and send you everyone's comments. And we really appreciate you speaking and
Yeah.
sharing everything with us today.
Absolutely.
And
Thank you so much for having me.
oh, you're welcome. And everybody else,